Hi, this is Rohit from careersprints.com, and we like to produce videos that help you with your professional development and continuous learning. Well, looking at the picture, you must be thinking, are we going to talk about Kano, the fictional character from Mortal Kombat, taking on the city of Moscow? Well, I hate to disappoint you, but this video is about two prioritization techniques widely used in product development and agile, and they are Kano Analysis and Moscow Prioritization. So these methods can be used in so many different scenarios by product managers, product designers, business analysts, or in fact, anyone who's working on a product that delivers value to customers. Maybe the Mortal Kombat guys also used it to create the Kano character. Well, I don't know, I'm just kidding. But let's start with the Moscow prioritization technique and then go on to analyze Kano's strengths. So let's first talk about Moscow and its backstory. So Moscow was a technique that was developed in 1994 and was extensively used in DSDM, which is basically Dynamic System Development Methods and Agile Framework. Moscow is an abbreviation that stands for must have, should have, could have, and won't have. Now, as we know, Agile projects are known to deliver high business value within time constraints. However, delivering this value is easier said than done, and less so without a solid prioritization technique. This is where Moscow steps in. And Moscow helps you understand the relative importance of features or work when they are pitted against each other. So Moscow is so generic that it can be applied to planning user stories, tasks, test cases, use cases, or even acceptance criteria for products. Let's just say Moscow has proven to be a more systematic approach than a simple high, medium, and low classification or even a 1, 2, 3, 4 prioritization scale. And we'll soon see why in this video. But let's first talk about the must-haves. So must-have is the base level in the Moscow technique. What I mean is that must-have requirements relate to all the mandatory features that must be present in a product. Without it, a product will be considered useless, illegal, unsafe, or even unviable. The customer or the user would outright reject the product if all the must-have features are not included. So if you were to frame a question like, what happens if this requirement is not included in the product? And the answer that you get is cancel the project. You know that this requirement is a must. Next is should have. So should have requirements are obviously not necessities like must-haves, but nevertheless, they are vital to the success of the project. It'll be a pain for the customer if the should have features are missing. However, it may not undermine the viability of the product entirely. But we'll see examples of Moscow techniques shortly in this video. For now, let's move on and talk about could have. So could have features are features the absence of which could cause much lesser pain than should have, but they still have a high chance of being excluded from the project in favor of project timelines and costs. However, delivering could have features could be game-changing for the organization if it turns out to be features that is missing in competitors' products. However, the thing with could haves is that they're only delivered in a best case scenario, and hence the term could have. Now, won't have features are simply features that we don't probably like. They are features that are meant to be kept outside of the project, if not entirely, then at least for the upcoming release or the increment. Won't haves can be very powerful in keeping the focus at this point in time on the more important could have, should have, and particularly the must have features. Now let's look at an example of the Moscow technique where we are trying to apply the Moscow technique while trying to buy a house. So let's say, if I'm trying to buy a property for myself, so what would be my must-have features? My must-have for my property could be things like the house needs to have roofing because a house isn't livable without a roof. My house needs to have at least 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. My house needs to have at least a parking garage because I have a car and I need to park it somewhere. It must have 24/7 water and heating because I need this to survive. what would be my should have features? Should have features could be, for example, I need to have an installed washing machine, a dryer, and a dishwasher in my house. I may also want some space for storing my bags, and I need a fire alarm system. Now, the thing is that if these features are missing, I'll probably consider this house a little less. However, it's not my must-have requirements. Next up is could haves, and could haves are the ones that you can live without but would be great if you had them. They are basically your delighters. They make you happy. They introduce that wow factor in your life. So these could be having things like a backyard, for instance. Who doesn't enjoy having a drink in their backyard? Maybe having window blinds because they just increase the aesthetics of the house. A tub in your bathroom so that you can chill sometimes, or relax in your tub, and a walk-in closet. So these are delighters or could have features that I would enjoy if I had them, but I would still consider the house even if it's not there. My won't have features would be the ones that I don't really want, for instance. I may not want a pool in my house because I know that there is a lot of maintenance overhead associated with maintaining a pool. I may not want colorful walls because I like to keep things simple. I just want my walls to be white. So that's an example of an application of the Moscow technique while trying to buy a house. Moscow is such a generic technique that it can be applied in any facet of your life. It can be applied to your professional life. For example, when you're developing a new product, it can also be applied to something as simple as buying a house, for instance, like your personal life. But the good thing about Moscow is that it can be used for overall project prioritization, which means you can basically look at the entire project and all the features that you're going to develop in the project, and you can prioritize them in a must-have, should-have, could-have, and won't-have fashion. And it can also be used to prioritize for a particular sprint or an increment or a particular phase of your project. All right, now that we have Moscow out of the way, we can bring our focus to Kano. Kano Analysis is another prioritization technique that can be used to determine customer needs on two ends of a spectrum, from I cannot live without this to this has totally wowed me, I didn't even know that I needed this. So let's dive straight in. Kano was originally developed for identifying customer needs that provides the fuel for thoughtful feature development. It was designed by a Japanese professor called Noriaki Kano, and he developed the Kano model using two dimensions, which are satisfaction and functionality. In this picture, satisfaction is on the y-axis and functionality is on the x-axis. Now, the dimensions of satisfaction range from delighted to totally frustrated, with all the other levels sitting in between. And the other dimension, which is functionality, ranges from not implemented at all to fully implemented. What Kano did was that he created 4 categories of features by combining these two dimensions, as shown in the picture here. So let's go through them one by one. The first category is called must-be features. These are features that customers cannot live without, and the absence of these features will result in complete customer dissatisfaction. They're also called basic features. So if I have to use the house example, this would be, for instance, like not having running water in my house, or not having a sewage system built into the house. How can I survive without these things? Next would be performance. Performance features are also called one-dimensional or linear features because the more you provide them, the better the customer feels about it. For example, if I have 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in my house, I would feel happier about it. That's why in the picture, you can see that performance sits at the top of the satisfaction and happiness scale. In essence, more is better. The third category is called delighters, exciters, or also attractive. Now, these are features that can tip the scales in favor of a product. However, they don't have to be always a product which is out of the park. It can also be something that can cause mild attractiveness. So in my house example, these could be things like having a fire pit in my backyard or having high quality blinds in my house that blend well with the colors of my house, or for example, carpeted flooring. Now, what's important to note is that delighters over time become basic needs as competitors start catching up and emulate the same features. Now, the final category that I want to talk about is indifferent. And this basically means having or not having these features is not going to make a difference to a customer's life. These features fall in the middle of the satisfaction dimension where the horizontal line intersects it. It doesn't matter how much effort we put into them, the customers won't really care about it. So in my house example, these could mean, for instance, the types of bulbs used in my house to light it up, or the design of my doorknob. These things don't have a huge bearing in my decision to buy the property or not. So there you go. We've just covered two popular prioritization techniques, which is Kano Analysis and Moscow Prioritization. This is something you must know for the PMP exam. Alright, thanks for surviving this video till the end. If you did, then you probably wanted to see Kano take on the city of Moscow. Now, if you enjoyed the video, you know what you have to do. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that you get notified whenever I release a video. All the best for your PMP exam.